This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
Let's go. It's December the 23rd. It is the last day of NHL action before the 3-day holiday break kicks in. We got a loaded show because we're squeezing two shows into one. We're on a little break tomorrow too. Since everybody else is shutting down, we figured we might as well also. But we're loaded up, ready for 15 games on the Saturday schedule. Mike Heika of the Dallas Morning News will join us. We'll talk a little bit about the Dallas Stars, who seem to be rolling in just the right direction. A big shutout victory a couple of days ago against the Hawks to get win number 800 for Hitch. And now they have a contest at home against the Nashville Predators on Saturday night. Erik Erlendsson, Tampa Bay Lightning insider, will join us. We'll get the latest on the Lightning and their game on Saturday against the Minnesota Wild. Oh, yeah, those Tampa Bay Lightning, bestie in the East. Craig Button from TSN, the NHL on TSN, their director of scouting as well, will also join us. Craig worked the game last night between the Montreal Canadiens and the Calgary Flames, so we'll get a little insight on both of those teams. George Richards covering the Columbus Blue Jackets for the Columbus Dispatch. Also here, Columbus hosting the Philadelphia Flyers on a Saturday night. And because we won't be here on Sunday for our usual day, we have juggled a few things, and Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, will be here at his regular time, except it's a day early, with this week's Fantasy 5. It's a bit of a wonky week because of the off day, so Stephen's got some advice for you, help for you in your fantasy hockey pool. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis at HockeyUnfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, powered by Primetime Radio, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us, where we are now accepting your nomination for the Dog of the Day. The hashtag is HU Dog of the Day. Submit your photos. Tell us your name, your dog's name. It's a nice pre-Christmas thing. We do it every Saturday, actually. We look for photos, great dog stories. There are a whole bunch of them around. There's a great one with the San Jose Sharks that I posted up on our Facebook page the other day. Pretty cool with a little pregame ceremony for the San Jose Sharks. We just do it every Saturday to recognize the great dogs that we know and love. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send them to us via Twitter, via Instagram. We'll select a winner before the end of the program. It is the final day before the holiday break, the Christmas holiday season in full effect. Everybody's taking a few days off. So as mentioned, we're going to do that tomorrow. If you're a last-minute shopper and heading out, if you're listening to us while you're out on the roads, please be careful. If you're traveling for the holidays, please be careful. Try to have a little extra understanding and patience and be considerate. A little tolerance in letting stuff roll and letting stuff go will go an awfully long way here on this December the 23rd. December the 23rd, by the way, is the actual day of Festivus. If you're a fan of the classic sitcom Seinfeld, where Frank Costanza invents a holiday called Festivus, it is actually December the 23rd. So we will have, in the spirit of Festivus, the airing of grievances a little bit later on. If you want to wait, not too serious, a little bit of fun. That's what we're going to try and do with it. A couple of serious things, but a little bit of fun as well. I celebrate Festivus. My family adopted the celebration of Festivus years ago. My nieces and nephews, when they go to school and they're talking about, well, what do you celebrate? What are your holiday traditions? You get they get some funny looks from teachers when they say, oh yeah, my family celebrates Festivus, and they're all coming down next week, and yeah, we'll have pictures taken with the aluminum pole and the whole bit. By the way, if you are going to the game tonight with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins and the Lehigh Valley Phantoms, they are having a Festivus night. That's the theme that they're doing at Wilkes-Barre Scranton. Go to the game. You can have your picture taken with the aluminum pole. The Penguins are wearing special Festivus jerseys and the whole bit. Oh yeah, it is full on. And good for them. It's a huge thing. Twitter is alive with Festivus greetings and gifts and memes and stuff right now. And Chelsea Clyde, our producer, has just put out the the rules of Festivus, if you will. So, oh yeah, full on Festivus. So that's the theme. By the way, Also in that same area, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, I've been there a couple times. If you want to go for a pregame meal or postgame meal, one of the absolute best sushi restaurants ever is in the Mohegan Sun Casino. I'm serious. I went there a couple of years ago. It's like, okay, we'll try it and we'll see how it is. It's fantastic. Absolutely sensational. If you love sushi as I, it's absolutely tremendous. There's a sushi chef there, Jeffrey, who we said, just make something, make whatever you want, and we'll try it. And it was absolutely fantastic. So there's the pre or post game meal. You got the Festivus game with Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and Lehigh Valley full on. Okay, now I've kind of wandered all over the place. So Friday night in the National Hockey League, maybe this is why I kind of wandered all over the place a little bit. It was just kind of, it was a night, and I can understand that it was difficult for Friday night to live up to some others. Losing team scored 2 goals. 3 of the 4 games finished with a 4-2 final score. There's a little bit of a lull, and it's understandable because we got such a busy day today on Saturday with 15 games. Everybody but Calgary is playing today, and that's a nice way to finish up and have a little break for the holiday season. Some really good matchups, and it was a really good week in the NHL. There were a couple of nights this past week that were really good, fun to watch. Just go back to Thursday night. 7 of the 10 games needed extra time. 4 of the 7 needed a shootout to decide a winner. It was a good night. There were some good games. I'm jumping all around with a few of the early games that were on, trying to watch the different shootouts that were going on because there were multiple shootouts happening at the same time. It was really a lot of fun to watch. And then Tuesday night, I talked about this a little bit on our midweek podcast that drop on Wednesdays, the Little Saturday podcast, a little bit of weekend in the middle of the week. I talked about this a bit. Tuesday night was really a good night to be watching hockey. If you were able to watch all the games, and it was just a good night, good action, good competition between the teams, some really, really well-played games, some really hard-fought games, 2 teams slugging it out to get victories. It was just fun, enjoyable to watch. Really, really spectacular. So Friday, all right, it's kind of the end of the week. A lot of things to try to live up to after such a good week in the NHL. Some of the teams not having great seasons. It's pretty tough to get a great deal of atmosphere in some of the buildings. As I'm watching the games on Friday night, I'm thinking it's kind of a quiet building. Then I jump over to another game and think, you know what? This is just kind of a game going back and forth, and it's a little bit of a quiet building. Sure, when the home team would score, there was a bit of a cheer and things would liven up a little bit, but then it settled down pretty quickly. Other times during the game, it's pretty quiet. Early in Florida, it's just you can hear everything in the building. Buffalo is a little quiet. Arizona, it got better. The atmosphere did amp up when those teams would score, as I mentioned, and in those games, they got victories too. And in those games, those were missed opportunities by the visiting team. It's hard when you're on the road. It's just prior to the holiday break. Some teams are a long way from home. Some teams have been out on the road for a few days, but those were missed opportunities. Minnesota, Florida. Wild are fighting for their lives in the Central Division. Every point is important. The competition is so good. Alex Stalock has to play every game because Devin Dubnyk is hurt. They gave up the lead twice. Minnesota went up on Florida, gave up the lead twice. 3 third-period goals. I'll give the Panthers some credit for being persistent and getting it going in the third period. But Minnesota loses to the Florida Panthers on Friday night. Now, on Saturday, they have to head to Tampa to take on the Lightning, where it is going to be much more difficult to get a couple of points. Philadelphia and Buffalo, similar set of circumstances. Flyers have been rolling ever since they lost those 10 games, flipped it around. The vote of confidence for Coach Dave Hackstall, won like 7 of 8 or 9, something like that. Sabres are below them in the standings. They're at the bottom in the East. Brian Elliott saved their bacon I don't know how many times during this game. He made some really good saves. Philly pushed a little bit late, got close, but other than the late push, a couple of moments in the second period, Sabres were the better team. Sabres are last in the East. Philly, you've got to win this game. They're in a fight for their lives in the Metro Division. Done all this work to climb back in, to get themselves back in the conversation. Let it get away. In fact, really never had it. So now Philadelphia has to go to Columbus on Saturday and try to get a couple of points. That's going to be a much tougher ask. By the way, our friend Joe Yurden, who covers the Buffalo Sabres for NHL.com, he got the quote of the day yesterday from Jake Voracek of the Philadelphia Flyers, where Joe asked him about the losing skid and how the Philadelphia Flyers have been able to turn around and get things moving in the right direction. Voracek said to him, "We got drunk and it helped." That was the start of the quote. We got drunk and it helped. And you know what? It's understandable. You just kind of, everybody has a couple of ginger ales and relaxes, and you're sitting and talking, and they've sorted some things out. They talked about things that they needed to improve. They wanted to be better, and they wanted to get moving in the right direction. And after that, that's what happened to the Philadelphia Flyers. Kind of an airing of the grievances, don't you think? It's what happens. It works sometimes. That's a great quote. We got drunk and that helped. For the Washington Capitals last night, is what they lost as well. Got a win in Dallas. Great overtime game. You're playing Arizona. You've climbed all the way back to the top of the Metro. You're leading the Metro. And I think Washington had maybe 11 shots halfway through the game. They had a 1-0 lead at the moment, but they let it get away. Coyotes wanted it more. They battled back. They tied the game, and it was a great display of how to play overtime as well. The 3-on-3, Arizona was handling it, and that's what you need to do. You need to hold on to the puck. You got possession, you've got control. Max Domi made some great moves and great plays, winds up putting the puck toward the front of the net, and Clayton Keller, the rookie sensation, winds up scoring the game-winning goal in overtime. Missed opportunity. So what happens with Washington now? They've got to go to Vegas. They did get a point for going to overtime, okay, but it's a missed opportunity. Which is a better game to try to win? Arizona or Vegas? Maybe the short turnaround actually helps the Capitals, because they don't have time to spend in Vegas. They just get to go play, and then they're on the charter back home for the break. But this is the kind of stuff that makes coaches crazy. You've got the better team. You're trying to explain, look, if we have a good night tonight, that puts us in a much better spot. This is a much easier game to win than what we might have facing us tomorrow night. We'll take our chances, but we need these 2 points tonight. It makes sense. It's so logical. But sometimes it just doesn't quite sink in. The other game on Friday was, as I mentioned, Montreal and the Calgary Flames. Carey Price starting his 50th straight game since he came back from injury. I don't know if he's going to go again on Saturday in Edmonton, but I think he almost has to. We'll talk a little bit more about that game and a Habs victory over the Calgary Flames with Craig Button coming up later on. He worked the game last night from TSN. George Richards will join us. We'll talk about the Columbus Blue Jackets. They host the Philadelphia Flyers. Erik Erlendsson this hour talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning, their game against the Minnesota Wild. And in the next segment, Mike Heika to talk Dallas Stars. They're going in the right direction. Got Coach Ken Hitchcock, his 800th victory the other night. And we'll talk about the game against the Nashville Predators and a special appearance by Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports Twitter and Instagram handles, accepting your nominations for Dog of the Day. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us your photos. We pick a winner every Saturday. Photo goes up on our website and our Facebook page as well. Mike Heika from the Dallas Morning News will join us in the next segment. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, back after the break. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit novaproductdesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. It's the Saturday edition here, only Saturday. Next week, we will return with our regular program Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. HockeyUnfiltered.com, powered by Primetime Radio, then streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports Twitter and Instagram handles to follow. Busy program with lots to get into with a 15-game Saturday schedule before the NHL shuts down for 3 days. One of those games on the schedule, the Dallas Stars, Nashville Predators, Central Division rivals going at it in Dallas, and looking forward to it. Mike Heika covers the Stars for the Dallas Morning News. Follow him on Twitter at Mike Heika. Is everyone as keyed up and excited about this matchup between the Preds and the Stars as I am, Mike?
I think definitely the Dallas fans are, and the Dallas players are. The Preds are, the Preds are where they are, and they've lost a couple, so I think they would love to come into this game and use it sort of as motivation to get themselves back on track. But this has been really hard for the Stars because they have just struggled against Nashville, Winnipeg, and St. Louis. Those three are clearly the top three in the Central. Dallas wants to be in the top three. I think a lot of people thought Dallas would be in the top three. And so the fact that they not only are behind those teams, but have almost been embarrassed by them in head-to-head matchups, this is a pretty big deal for the Stars.
And understandably so. That this is there have been some great Central Division games this past week as well, and we're almost to the midway point of the season, another week or two. But Dallas is one of the teams in the NHL that, if you look at them today versus opening night at the start of the season, they're a team that's clearly progressed in the right direction in my mind. Now, I'm sure that they still have a little bit of work, a few things that they want to do, but they're a team that's moving in the right direction. I don't know if you can say that about all the teams in the NHL, certainly, and even one or two in the Central.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of expected. They made a lot of changes in the offseason. In addition to Ken Hitchcock and Stu Barnes and Rick Wilson and how they're running things, they added Radulov and Ben Bishop and Martin Hansel, and they're giving the kids a much bigger bite of the game, and Remy Ellie and Jamel Smith, Essa Lindell, Julius Honka. There's a lot of moving parts in this process. So yeah, I think Ken is very encouraged. He's kind of a prototype of mix of the old school. I see what I see and the analytics, and he's very happy with where the analytics are right now, which is mostly puck possession and shots for, and for him shot attempts against are huge, and he believes everything is moving in the right direction. So yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, it's a process, and a Chicago team that has most of the same players and the same coaching staff is in a different place than the Dallas team that has made a lot of changes.
And Ken Hitchcock understands that you want to be peaking and playing your best hockey when the 82-game regular season finishes, and you've played well enough to get yourself a good spot in the postseason, and that's where you continue to build through. The other thing that Dallas has had to deal with, I know everybody has difficulties with the schedule, but the Stars have had an absolutely hellacious schedule at different times. There was a stretch they played 5 games in like 7 days. It was really goofy, and that's another tough thing that the coaching staff has to deal with when, as you mentioned, there's so much new, but it's hard to find any practice time because you've got to give players rest or they're going to be completely bagged when the games start.
Yeah, it's a great point. And Ken talks about that as well, just how hard it is to institute all these changes when you don't really get the practice time. They had a stretch, and I'm pretty sure this is accurate, where they traveled to a game 14 consecutive times. They had a run of 5 one-game homestands. So then they would go road trip, 2-3 games. So you're traveling to those games, come back home, travel to that game, get back on the plane, travel to another game for 1 or 2, then come back, travel to your home game, then go again. And so it was just, it really was hectic. And so when you put all those plane flights in there, it really is hard to find the practice time. They've been using morning skates as practice time a lot, just because they want to try and give players time to rest. That's the other thing. I think, Ken believes that the energy is a huge aspect of the game nowadays. I mean, quickness, speed, he calls it ping pong instead of tennis, where everything happens so quickly that you really have to be at your, peak fitness. And they do have some older guys. They have a Jason Spetzer, a Martin Hansel, or guys who are recovering from injury, a Dan Hamhuis. And so, he's been very adamant about, we got to keep our energy up. So it's a catch-22 of, okay, we got to practice, we got to learn all this stuff, but we also got to keep our energy up. So that's hard. It's hard to be a pro hockey player.
It certainly is. Mike Heika is with us. He covers the Dallas Stars for the Dallas Morning News. At Mike Heika is how you follow him on Twitter. Stars hosting the Nashville Predators in a Central Division battle, one of 15 on the Saturday schedule. And the other way that you get some energy in the lineup when you have such limited practice time and you're trying to do things is a little shuffling of players in and out of the lineup. When Jamel Smith went into the lineup a couple of games ago, seemed to be exactly the right move at the right time for the Dallas Stars, but also contributions from some younger players as well. You mentioned Esa Lindell. Julius Honka, I think, has started to take that right step forward to improve himself as well. So they're getting a few contributions from someone other than the big 3 or 4.
Yeah, and again, every one of these kids has either speed or the ability to move the puck quickly. I mean, Remy Ellie and Jamel Smith just help whatever line they're on, because they're in there just bearing down on the forecheck. They're flying up the wings. They're trying to stir things up. Julius Honka is a great skater. Esa Lindell moves the puck really well. So these kids are, and you look around the league, and it is. I mean, you can be 18 or 19 and you fit in perfectly in this style of hockey. And so that does, in addition to, the fresh legs and all that kind of stuff, these guys are really fast. And I think it's almost like a requirement of the young players in the game now. You have to be able to skate and you have to be able to move the puck quickly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even Ken Hitchcock mentioned, I think it was yesterday, saying that 3rd and 4th line players, everybody can skate now. There's no more plodding 3rd or 4th line players. That's how the game's changed over the last little while. Has the progression of some of the young defensemen, or was that the reason that the Stars were able to move Jamie Oleksiak a couple of days ago as well?
Yeah, and I think also the frustration of Jamie just wasn't getting the playing time he needed. And I do think at some point in time, those guys, both Patrick Nemeth and Jamie, I think handled it very professionally. But it's hard to hide your disappointment when you're in the lineup for a game or two and then you're scratched for 3. Then you're back in the lineup for a game or two and then you're scratched for 4. And so just having that presence there can be a little bit depressing at times, because these guys are watching their career just kind of, flutter out the window. And, Jamie Alexiak's a 14th overall pick. He's a guy who people had very high expectations for. And so, yes, all of that, I think, one, they saw in Texas that they have 2 or 3 good options down there for their 8th defenseman. And then Miro Heiskanen, who's, their 3rd overall pick, is playing really well in Europe. And, Honka, they had to make a decision, basically. Are we going to give these minutes to Honka? Are we going to give them to Alexiak? Are we going to split them? And I think splitting them, really did become a problem. And so by moving Jamie along, even if it is for a 4th-round pick in 2019, it's addition by subtraction, in that, one, he gets to go, have a better chance to further his career, and then now Julius Honka gets a better chance to play a little bit more here.
The Dallas Stars hosting the Nashville Predators in a Saturday night game just before the NHL breaks for a few days over the holidays. The thing that Alex Radulov has brought to the team this year, certainly his goal scoring, his play as well to set up others, that has netted him a whole bunch of assists on the season. But I think his determination, his attitude, his ruggedness, his will to win is something I think has also started to rub off on this Dallas Stars team.
Yeah, I was shocked by it, because you read what happened in Nashville, so many years ago, and there is just always the thought of the process of, it is hard sometimes to get a Russian player to fit in to your locker room. I mean, we've had it with Val Nichushkin, and we've seen it around the league. And this guy, he is so funny because he loves hockey. He loves playing the game. He loves practicing the game. He just brings this energy and effervescence to everybody around him, and it's been good for Ben and Sagan, because I think that this is an interesting organization in that they haven't had a ton of success, and so then the star players are starting to feel that weight of, look, if we, it's our job to start winning games and getting to the playoffs and winning playoff series, and that's a lot of pressure. And so when you have a guy like Radulov, he's just out there having fun every moment he's on the ice, it really does help the entire organization.
It's funny too that you can be that determined and leader and aggressive and have that attitude and approach, but it can also be fun. Certainly winning is fun, but that's hard to sell sometimes, or for others to understand. I think Jamie Benn is just as determined, but maybe not quite as demonstrative about it, and doesn't necessarily show that same carefree, fun attitude.
Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting too, is that along with the fun, Alex is a little bit careless with this stick, because he's just flying around. So he's taken a ton of minor penalties and gotten the team into trouble at times. And you think, okay, well, now here comes Big Bad Hitch, trying to beat down the fun out of the game. And he basically had a conversation with Radulov. Radulov came to the media and said, look, I'm really sorry. I blew this game. It's my fault. I'm going to be better. And, and then goes and does it, and doesn't, get depressed about it. Doesn't squash his fun feelings. And it's interesting that to me was really, this happened in the Philadelphia game last week. And then he came out and he was great in the Chicago game. I think they had 1 or 2 penalties in that game. The penalties have been a problem for the Stars this year. And, it's interesting that they can do these, what I call human things and not mess them up. So you've got this disciplined coach who's trying to discipline a fun player, and the fun player saying, yes, I can be better at this. And so that's been kind of neat, just watching the process.
Is that maybe one of the biggest changes in Ken Hitchcock this time around versus his first go around with the Dallas Stars? Is there's a better communication between he and the players that way?
He's always actually had good communication. The first time around, he was kind of just feeling his way. I did a story on him just because of the 800 wins, and Craig Ludwig said, one of the things looking back now is that he didn't care what the players thought about him. Like, if they hated him, he was fine with that. And he kind of dug in, I think, at times, and almost wore that as a badge of honor that, I'm so tough, the players hate me. And I do think he thinks that the younger players, and maybe 2, dealing with European players and players who, aren't quote unquote Canadian. He has learned that these individuals are different and that he needs to take a different approach for each individual. So yeah, I think that is all part of the process. And I do believe he's a better coach now. Now, I don't know if he'll get the same results, but he is a better coach.
Mike Heika with all the info on the Dallas Stars for the Dallas Morning News. At Mike Heika is how you follow him on Twitter. Always enjoy the conversation, Mike. Really good information. Thank you, and Merry Christmas, and we'll do it again soon, I'm sure.
That sounds fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike Heika, the Dallas Morning News. It's really interesting about Ken Hitchcock and the importance of the communication and just the stubbornness that he had previously as head coach in the National Hockey League. Because he has the reputation, he will grind on guys, he will get the most out of them, but communication is still a key element of that. If you don't like me, that's too bad. And coaches have to have some of that, but you have to also have a line of communication and a way to get through to players, especially with younger players and the different way that they are being brought through the system now. Really interesting stuff. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles, accepting your nominations now for the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us your photos via Twitter, via Instagram, your name, the dog's name. We just like to acknowledge and recognize special dogs every week. We do it every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis talking Tampa Bay Lightning right after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff. The Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition continues here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, powered by Primetime Radio. We're off tomorrow with the rest of the National Hockey League. We'll return next Saturday and Sunday at a regular time, but a busy Saturday with 15 games on the schedule and a lot of stories to get into. Craig Button from TSN will join us in the next hour. George Richards will join us later on in the program to talk Columbus Blue Jackets. They'll host the Philadelphia Flyers, and a special Saturday edition of the Fantasy Five with Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com. Tampa Bay Lightning hosting the Minnesota Wild as they wrap up and get set for the holiday break. Erik Erlendsson is the Tampa Bay Lightning insider. You can follow him on Twitter at @Erik_Erland, and he joins us. Erik, even though the Tampa Bay Lightning are the first team to 25 wins, first team to 50 points, now with 52, there's always things that they seem to be looking to improve and working on. A few weeks ago, it was the power play, seemed to get Tyler Johnson moving in the right direction, and they're always looking to just find that little bit extra and a little bit more that they can get out of everyone.
Yeah, and right now it's the penalty kill. That's the latest sort of leaky hole that's kind of cropped up here. Obviously, the 4 goals they gave up against Vegas the other night were on the power play. They gave up 2 against Colorado, gave up a go-ahead power play goal in the third period the other night here against Ottawa. So that's the next thing that they want to right. But, it's the ebbs and flows of a season. Things are always going to pop up here and there. But for the most part, I mean, this team has just been humming along all season long. They've only had really one little lull where they lost 3 out of 4 games. Besides that, they've got so many players playing well and at high level. And, even a guy like Victor Hedman, who wasn't putting up the points early on, now all of a sudden he's putting the points up, and, he's starting to elevate his game. And, when this team is clicking on all cylinders, they're just a scary team to have to face.
Yeah, it's funny how Victor Hedman getting a few points recently also spurs a little bit. Hey, Victor Hedman, Norris Trophy, shouldn't his name be in the discussion? And yes, it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, he was a finalist last year, and he had a career high in goals, points, and assists. But this year, they've got Mikhail Sergachev, who has kind of provided some offense from the back end and kind of taken some of that pressure off a little bit of Victor Hedman. But if you look at Victor Hedman's game, his minutes per game are up about 1.5 minutes over last year. They're actually about 3 minutes higher than his career average. His role was played. He's been up there 29 minutes, over 29 minutes a couple of times this year, which is something that they have rarely done with Victor Hedman. So you see the importance that he has on this team. And, I even saw Matthew Barnaby had a tweet the other night during the game against Ottawa, and he goes, how many Norris trophies is Victor Hedman going to win by the end of his career? I'll go with 3. And he's just that important of a player. And the way he can control the game, both sides of the ice, his responsibility has ticked up, and his minutes have ticked up, and for that, his name in the conversation, the Norris Trophy, is going to start to creep back up here again.
And since you mentioned Mikhail Sergachev, we can not talk enough about him as well. The offseason acquisition by Steve Yzerman from the Montreal Canadiens, Jonathan Drouin going the other way. But there has been so many good rookie stories, and Sergachev just sort of seems to keep popping into the conversation. He'll have a spectacular game here and there, but even when he doesn't have necessarily a spectacular game, he's played consistently well, and the coaching staff seems to have full trust and faith in him to put him out on the ice on a pretty regular basis.
They do. They still protect him a little bit. If you look at his ice time, it's usually 13, 14, 15 minutes most night. He's had a couple of games where, he's up 19, 20 minutes in that range. So, you start to feed him a little bit more as he starts to feel comfortable with the league. But for the most part, they still kind of, pick their spots with him here and there. But he's got such unbelievable offensive instincts. His poise with the puck high in the offensive zone is unbelievable for a 19-year-old. His instincts, when to jump into the hole. He's not afraid to shoot the puck. I mean, everything he does in the offensive zone, you see why he was the 9th overall pick and the type of production he can give. And, he's certainly been paired with Anton Stralman for almost the entire season. Anton Stralman was the perfect veteran to be alongside because he's so poised with the puck. And it's funny, I've talked to Anton Stralman, who, we talk so much about being poised. He said he didn't know how to do that. He had to learn that. And it wasn't really until he got to New York with John Tortorella that he got to learn that poise with the puck. And Mikhail Sergachev already has it as a 19-year-old. So that tells you how advanced this kid is in his game already and the impact that he can have on a team.
I was going to say that having the poise and the confidence with the puck, it reminds me of Charlie McAvoy, the Boston Bruins. Same kind of thing. There is a real self-confidence. It's not cocky, it's not arrogance, but he is confident in his own talent and his ability. And it's the defensive part of the game that he's going to, I suspect, learn more from Anton Stralman, just to be responsible defensively. He's not going to be out in the last 2 minutes of the game for much of this season, but I could see that becoming a larger part of his game as his career moves along.
Yeah, for sure. And he has it in him. I mean, you look at him, he's got a man's body already at the age of 19. He's 6'3", about 200 pounds. He's kind of hard to knock off the puck in the offensive zone. He needs some work in the defensive zone and how to, protect the puck a little bit better in those situations and not turn it over. But, again, that's some of the stuff that they've kind of spoon-fed him here as we've kind of gone along. But yeah, at the end of the day, he's going to be a number one and number two type defenseman. He's going to play in all situations as soon as he learns the game. And the thing that the coaching staff really, really loves about Mikhail Sergachev is he'll make a mistake and they'll talk to him about it on the bench and he'll go out and correct it right away. He's so coachable. He's got a thirst for knowledge. He wants to learn. And if you know the backstory on him, when he went to Windsor, he knew no English. And by 6 months, he was almost fluent in English, which is almost unheard of for a 17-year-old to pick up the language that quickly. That's the type of knowledge he wants to do. That's how much he wants to learn. And it's the same thing on the ice. He can do it. He understands where he made the mistake, how to correct it, goes out and does it quickly.
Tampa Bay Lightning insider Erik Erlendsson is with us. Follow him on Twitter at Erik_Erlendsson. Lightning hosting the Minnesota Wild on Saturday, one of 15 on the busy Saturday schedule. Seems like there's a regular occurrence of a young player who takes a significant step forward with the Tampa Bay Lightning. We just talked about Sergachev this season, but young forwards as well. A couple of years ago, it was Tyler Johnson who was making all kinds of headlines. This year, it seems like Braden Point is that player that's getting an awful lot of attention as moving and continue to move his way up in the lineup.
You're probably the smartest player on the team in terms of hockey IQ. And that's a big reason why he made the team right out of camp last year, which is almost unprecedented. Actually, it is unprecedented since Steve Yzerman took over for a player with American Hockey League eligibility to make the jump straight to the NHL. But that just tells you how much they think of his game. He never seems to be in the wrong position. Already at the age of 21, he's going up against the Crosbys, the Ovechkins, the Nick Backstroms every night. I mean, he gets the tough matchups every night. And not only is he doing the job defensively, he's picking up points. I think he's 13, 14 goals now, second or third on the team in goals. He's just taken that next step. And, in your second full year in the league, you're more comfortable with your surroundings. You know where you're going on the road. You know the league a little bit better. And the rate that Braden Point can learn the game, that's why he's taken that next step forward this year, and the trust that he has from the coaching staff. And, it was funny kind of watching them in training camp. They weren't sure exactly where they wanted Braden Point. You had Tyler Johnson, you had Steven Stamkos. Those were your penciled-in number 2 centers. So they tried Braden Point on the wing a couple of times. It's where he started out last year, but he was so much better at center. They got to the end of training camp, and automatically he was basically slotted in as a second-line center, and he's kind of taken off from there.
The other question I want to ask you about is he's only been out of the lineup for a short period of time, but he's going to be out for an extended period. It looks like Ryan Callahan won't even be reevaluated for, I guess it's a couple of weeks now. How noticeable has his absence been from the Lightning lineup right away?
Well, I don't think it's any coincidence that the penalty kills kind of dipped here a little bit without Ryan Callahan. He hasn't had the point production this year that I know he would like to have, and I've spoken with him about that. But he's had his chances. He's such a tenacious forechecker. You miss that element. Him and Chris Kunitz made a great wing pairs when they were on the ice together. Really 2 veteran guys who could really get in on the forecheck and disrupt things, but really feel his impact is on the penalty kill. He's such a veteran guy. He's turned into their number 1 penalty kill forward, which wasn't the case a couple of years ago. So that is absolutely where they're going to miss his presence the most, I think. That's why they're kind of struggling on the penalty kill right now. And I would be surprised, based on the evaluation, if we see Ryan Callahan before the All-Star break. So it might be another month, probably at the least, before we see Callahan have a chance to come back.
Yeah, that just doesn't sound good when we're not going to reevaluate him for at least another 3 to 4 weeks. That's a bad sign for an injury. Another thing that struck me about the Tampa Bay Lightning is you talked about Steven Stamkos and being back and being healthy this year, and Nikita Kucherov and his great offensive output and his production. Seen that line with Lemestikov do amazing things through the early part of the season. They've been broken up occasionally, but it almost seems as though the Lightning, and those top end players and others, are playing with a little bit of an attitude and approach that we have something to prove. We weren't as good as we could have or should have been last year for the entire season. They finished strong, but it seems as though they're playing with a little bit of an attitude in that sense.
You're absolutely right. That was the main topic of conversation during training camp. And, every team says they're hungry coming into camp, but I think Tampa had a reason to be hungry after, making the finals in 15 and back to the Eastern Conference Finals in 16, and then missing out on playoffs. Not just missing out on playoffs, missing by 1 point. And you start to go back and you look at the schedule. Well, we lost a point here, we lost a point there, and I think that really fueled them over the summer. You look at a guy like Nikita Kucherov, who normally he would go back to Russia during the summer. Well, he was back in Tampa by July, rented out ice on his own so he could be on the ice and work on a shot. He put synthetic ice in his garage so he can work on a shot. It was that type of attitude that I think the whole team has kind of pushing forward, because they know it was such a disappointment last year, and they've come into this season and they've backed up those words. They are a hungry team, and I think that's carried through everything. You think of Steven Stamkos and the time he missed because of the injury last year, Ryan Callahan and the time he missed with the injury last year. You start to interject that, and I really think the additions of guys like Dan Girardi and Chris Kunitz kind of bring some new blood a little bit into that locker room, especially two veteran guys who have played so much, and that's pushed it, I think, another step in that direction. And this team is absolutely playing with a little bit of a chip on its shoulder this year.
Erik Erlendsson, Tampa Bay Lightning insider, at Erik_Erlendsson is how you follow him on Twitter. Great stuff today, Erik. Really appreciate it. Look forward to having you back again soon. Happy holidays.
The same to you, Todd. I appreciate the time. Happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you very much, Erik Erlendsson, covering the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's it's pretty solid, top to bottom. Just in watching them, though, that determination that always seems to be present with the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're almost halfway through the season now, and it's still there, that it is top of mind that they have to go out and prove themselves on a nightly basis. And for a team that has ripped off victory after victory, incredible scoring and offensive output, to have that determination now at the midpoint of the season, that's pretty awesome to watch. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Hashtag is HU Dog of the Day to tweet us your nominations for the Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. We'll pick a winner before the end of the program. The photo will go up on our website, up on our Facebook page, to recognize that special pooch. Just send us a photo, your name, the dog's name. If there's a good story that goes along with it, we like that as well. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Much more to get to. Back with more after the break.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.
Welcome back. This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition. Normally here Saturdays and Sundays, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. We're taking the day off tomorrow, Christmas Eve, shutting down for a little holiday break, just like the National Hockey League does. Some suggesting, maybe we shouldn't do that. It's kind of the annual discussion of whether or not the league should shut down during the Christmas holiday break. I personally like it. I think it's a good idea. Everybody gets a little break, a little respite. It's a good idea. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day to submit your dog or a dog you love for the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day honor for today. We do it every Saturday, just like dog photos and good dog stories as well. Lots to get into today with the 15-game Saturday in the National Hockey League. It's just kind of a 4-game night. Little excitement, but a few dull moments as well in the games on Friday. Should be plenty of action on Saturday. Some really good matchups as well. Nashville and Dallas, we were talking about that one a little bit earlier. Spectacular Central Division battle. Detroit and Boston, an afternoon matinee. I like those. Islanders as well. A little matinee. Steve Mason apparently getting the start for the Winnipeg Jets in that one. Minnesota and Tampa Bay. I'm going to zip up and catch the game tonight. Looking forward to that. Chicago is in New Jersey. Should be great. Toronto and the Rangers. And Austin Matthews will be back in the lineup for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Austin Matthews is coming back. Little surprised, but I guess it's probably good to get one in and then have a couple of days off at home to relax before the Maple Leafs play their next contest after the holiday break. That's good. Anaheim and Pittsburgh should be a terrific matchup as well. Philly and Columbus, I like that. By the way, story from a couple of days ago when John Tortorella and the Columbus Blue Jackets and Pittsburgh Penguins were playing a couple of days ago, and his quote that was churned out over and over and over and over again, saying, refs, stay out of the way. This was an intense game between the Blue Jackets and Penguins. It's become a great rivalry between these two teams. They're in close geographic proximity. Maybe NBC should put them on rivalry night. There's a thought, instead of some of the other choices. I know it's just a marketing scheme. It's just a bad one, though. But Columbus and Pittsburgh has become a very nice rivalry. But in this game, the adrenaline was running high right from the start. You could tell in both teams. And there were a few calls by the officials made in this game that stuck out to me. They're hockey guys too. Their adrenaline is ramped up and going, so I get it. But maybe in this one, you could have kind of taken a breath and had a look and assess the situation a little bit better. Now, a lot of people will point to the cross-checking penalty with Boone Jenner. That's the one that John Tortorella was talking about. I'm not too bent out of shape about that, actually. If you poise your stick to thrust it into the chest, upper chest area of another player, well, sometimes things aren't going to go as initially intended. He's trying to hit Jake Gensel in the chest. Gensel's trying to protect himself, winds up hitting him in the face, and he winds up getting 5 in a game. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. He had full intent. He was going to wind up and pound him with his stick. So, you know what? You've got to accept the consequences of your actions. Oh, I didn't mean to. Doesn't matter. Attempted murder carries the same penalty as murder. That's what the penalty should be there. The one that got me, that I don't think has been talked about quite enough, was the face-off violation later on. Artemi Panarin, that doesn't take a lot of face-offs. So he comes in to take the face-off. He didn't even get his feet set or his stick down on the ice, and he got run up on a face-off violation. That's a quick trigger from the official. Panarin had come in because the center was thrown out. He didn't even get set, and he was rung up. That's wrong. That's a mistake. That's not something that should happen. That's too quick a trigger. Just over 5 minutes left. It's a 1-1 game. Two teams have been going at it hard all night. You got to have communication. We talked about this earlier with coaches and their players. The officials have to have better communication as well. Panarin comes in. He's a smart hockey player. If you're the linesman in this situation, you've got to slow things down and help him. You don't just thrust your hand up in the air and say, oh, violation, penalty. I'm not asking for a different standard. I like that they're strictly enforcing the face-off rules, just as they are the slashing rules a little better. I don't think you should let things go. but you're supposed to be the calm, rational individual in this case. You're the voice of reason. You're the one that is supposed to be in charge of the game. It got away from them in this instance. I don't think it cost the Blue Jackets the game. I think John Tortorella was cranky afterwards and griping about it, and I think that's okay. I think he was griping about the wrong call because I think the linesman's got to handle that situation better. You've got someone coming in who isn't normally a center, doesn't take a lot of face-offs. You've got to understand it's a close game. There's high intensity. It's been going on for 55 minutes. You've got to be the one in control. That was a mistake by the refs. In a couple of instances on Friday, there was goaltender contact that was handled properly by the referees. In the Wild Panther game, Jared McCann runs into Alex Stalock, who goes flying. There's no penalty called. And how can that be? You run the goaltender. When you slow it down, you see that McCann slips, falls, and barrels into Stalock. He has no intent. He has no malice. In fact, when the two come to a stop against the boards, McCann is like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" and gives him a tap on the chest. And Stalock says, "Yeah, we're good." And they start getting up. One of the Panthers players comes back in and says, "Hey, what's going on?" And Dan O'Halloran is yelling at him right away to get out of there. Good for him. That's a referee who's in control of the situation. That's a referee who understands the circumstances and has made the correct call by not calling a penalty. That's good work there. Montreal-Calgary game, similar kind of thing. Mike Smith goes out to play the puck, as he often does. Andrew Shaw's coming in on him. The two collide. At first, you look at it and think, I don't know about this one, because Shaw is clearly starting to lose his balance. Slow motion replay, you see that Andrew Shaw actually pokes Mike Smith in the pad with his stick. Intentional or not, that is a penalty, and that's what was called. Good work by the referees here. That's being in control. That's being the calm, rational, understanding the whole set of circumstances. Not that linesman who rang up Artemi Panarin with a very quick trigger on a face-off violation. You've got to be in control. You've got to make the players do what you want. If they will not accept it, then you throw them out. But he didn't even have a chance to come in, put his feet down properly, get his stick down, get set for a guy who doesn't take face-offs, and that arm went up. Oh, no, that's a face-off violation. And it's the second one, which means it's a penalty. That's wrong. That's not what should be happening. You've got to be in control of the situation. You've got to understand what's going on. You've got to know that it's 5 minutes left in the game. It's a 1-1 game between two teams that have been battling back and forth. They've been throwing the body around, and it's been intense from the start. There's been fights. Probably got a little out of hand in a couple of instances. That's not the way to gain control back. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us and to submit your Dog of the Day nominations. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us your photos via Twitter, via Instagram. We pick a winner and put them up on our website, put them up on our Facebook page. Busy hour number 2 coming up. It is December the 23rd, Festivus. So a few Festivus airing of grievances will come up in the next hour as well. Along with our guest, Craig Button from TSN will join us. George Richards from the Columbus Dispatch. We'll talk a little Blue Jackets and a special appearance by Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, with this week's Fantasy 5. Bit of a wonky week with the 3-day holiday, but we'll have the Fantasy 5. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis back after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Look, we know it happens. Life gets in the way and sometimes you can't catch the live edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. But we've made it easy for you to catch up on the show you might have missed. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis is available as a podcast on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Blog Talk Radio. You don't want to miss an episode. If you missed the live show, check out the podcast. Don't miss any shows. There's a test coming up later. Subscribe now. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Use the code Get the Savings. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis listeners save with SeatGiant and the promo code TODD. That's TODD at SeatGiant.com. Just log on to SeatGiant.com to find the best tickets to NHL games, concerts, or whatever you want and save. Use the promo code TODD. That's TODD when you check out and you save. Canadian listeners can save at SeatGiant.ca. That's SeatGiant.com and .ca. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing, Nova Product Design. Industrial design, mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more.
This is Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis.
One more hour to go, and then the break kicks in for us. The NHL will keep going for a few hours yet before they kick in with their break. Yes, we're taking the day off on Sunday. Christmas Eve, giving everybody a little break. But a busy hour straight ahead. Craig Button from TSN will join us, NHL analyst, director of scouting. Worked the game last night between the Montreal Canadiens and the Calgary Flames. We'll get some thoughts on that. George Richards talking Columbus Blue Jackets. Covers the Jackets for the Columbus Dispatch. And also, because there's no show tomorrow, we have finagled Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, and squeezed him into our Saturday program with this week's Fantasy 5. A little help for you and your fantasy hockey pool, all coming up this hour. Plus a lot of talk about the 15 games on the schedule, a whole bunch of other things as well on this December the 23rd. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, live at hockeyunfiltered.com and streaming on the Hockey Unfiltered app. Available for download now at the App Store. It's powered by Primetime Radio. Busy program ahead with lots on the go. Couple of afternoon games, Detroit and Boston, Winnipeg and the Islanders. Our 1 p.m. Eastern starts. Like the afternoon action, got a full day of hockey planned. Going to check out the afternoon games, and I'm going to zip up to Tampa to catch the Minnesota Wild and the Lightning. I'll be back home in time to catch some late games. St. Louis and Vancouver, Los Angeles and San Jose are 7 local, 10 p.m. Eastern time starts. This is a full day of hockey on this December the 23rd Festivus. Yes, if you were a fan of the Seinfeld sitcom, today is the day. A happy Festivus to all. And we'll have a little airing of grievances. We'll do it a little bit later on this segment because we're loaded up with guests in the back part of the hour. So a few grievances to air. If you want to weigh in, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. And yes, we still got time to squeeze in your nomination for the HU Dog of the Day. That's the hashtag HU Dog of the Day to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis Dog of the Day for this Saturday. Festivus, they're doing the big celebration in Wilkes-Barre. Penguins, Lehigh Valley playing tonight in the Festivus game. The Pens are wearing special jerseys. Oh, yeah. And you can have your picture taken with the aluminum pole that they have. Feats of strength. Stop crying and fight your father. Oh, yeah. Great quotes from Festivus. Twitter and social media have been alive with Festivus greetings for several days. I've changed my personal avatar to Festivus Feats of Strength Champion 2017. I'm not, but it's all fun as part of the celebration. Now, I mentioned just quickly in the last hour that there's a lot of people that think, maybe there shouldn't be this holiday break over Christmas and Boxing Day. For those that are familiar with it, that's the day after Christmas. It's a European thing where those that served the privilege were given the day after Christmas off because they had to work Christmas Day. So they had Boxing Day. They were given big boxes as their gifts. But we're here just before the NHL break, and it's the discussion that happens about this time every season. Oh, should the NHL be playing on Christmas? Last time that the NHL played a game on Christmas Day was back in the 70s. So it's been a while. They've been off on Christmas Day ever since. A few years ago, they extended the break. It's now 3 days long, 24, 25, 26. The NHL is dark, no game scheduled. They crank back up on the 27th. Teams have a short schedule, full slate of games that day, and we're right back into it. But for those 3 days, 24, 25, 26, off. I can see the argument both ways. With so much of the world, the sporting world shutting down, there's lots of eyeballs available, could provide an opportunity to showcase the game in your league because lots of people have Christmas Day off. So maybe there should be games. Maybe that's an opportunity. Why do you think movie studios put out all these great big blockbusters right around the holidays? Because so many people are off. They have time off and they have time to see their movies. It's a big payday. NFL doesn't always play on Christmas. Sometimes they do. There's minimal college football, no baseball on Christmas Day. It's just basketball that you'd be competing with. NBA's got the big day on Christmas Day. NHL kind of has their flag in the sand now on New Year's Day with the Winter Classic. Started that a decade ago. Still, is there an opportunity if you played on Christmas Day to do an event kind of game? I don't know. Personally, I like the idea that there's a little shutdown for a couple of days. I think it's a good idea. For a couple of days, you just shut it down. Everybody gets a chance to catch their breath. 2-3 days, I don't care. But I like the full stop. There's parts of life, too, that are way more important than hockey games. I think taking a breath, giving people a chance to enjoy their family, enjoy their friends, celebrate, have some time to enjoy all of the things that are part of our life, it's not only nice and a good thing, but it's necessary. This life that we have chosen is taxing in terms of time, in terms of commitment. A little break here and there is a good idea. Gives everybody a chance to re-energize, get ready to go again in a few days. For players, yeah, that's the big part of it, I understand, and that's what I'm talking about. But not just the players, but everybody else that's involved in the game as well, because it's a 7-day-a-week thing. And at times, the hours are very long in those days. People that work in the buildings, people that work in the office staff, broadcasters, all the people involved with it. It is a long season, and you have long days. There are very few days off, but there is this little stretch, this little island around Christmas of a few days off. That's why we're taking a break. No show Sunday. We'll be back next week. 2 shows, Saturday, Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific, our regular time. But having a little break. This year, the league also was shut down on Thanksgiving, U.S. Thanksgiving on the Thursday. Just 1 day, but I like it. I don't dig that the stores are started a couple of years ago to open on Thanksgiving Day. We're opening at 10. Oh, now it's at 6. Now it's at 4. Having a break, having a full stop is a good idea. And you know what? It's important that you step away too. You have to have people miss you. If you're always there, you can get taken for granted. But if you give your audience, whether it's in the building, on TV, on radio, or however you're consuming it, if you give them a chance to miss you, it helps. It helps build your following. It helps build your passion. It's like, oh, I'm missing that. Even though it's only been a day or 2 or 3, people will miss it. It's like people being taken for granted at their job. I know people that have been taken advantage for in their position at work and it's go on vacation. That's the best thing you can do. Make them miss you. It helps show the rest of your workplace how much you do if you don't do it for a while. If you take a week off and nobody's there to do your job and you feel like you're being taken for granted, take a week off. And when you come back, it's like, oh, wow, we didn't realize all the stuff you did. oh, you were gone and this didn't get done. It's worked. It works for people. It's worked for me. I know it's worked for other people I've talked to. Taking a vacation, taking a little break helps. Just a little extra time, go away for a day or two. It's valuable. Just take a step back. There's great games today that we'll enjoy, but we'll have a little break after that. Mentioned Detroit and Boston, the afternoon games. Looking forward to it. Really good. Winnipeg and the New York Islanders. How about that? Tuukka Rask has been sensational for Boston. Detroit, they should be preparing for the after Christmas sale, but that's something we'll talk a little bit more about next week, I suspect. But Winnipeg and the Islanders are a funny team. You think they should be better than they actually are. And if they got a little bit of goaltending, they would be. That's their biggest thing right now. Little bit of goaltending. Jarro Halak is going to go today. Beauvillier looks like in for Bernier. Calvin DeHaan out with an upper body injury, and Steve Mason is going to start today for the Winnipeg Jets in the afternoon game. Minnesota Tampa, Alex Stalock was good on Friday. Didn't get the win, but he was good. Should he go again? I guess he almost has to. Tampa's won 8 of their last 10, as you heard with Erik Erlendsson in the last hour. Yeah, maybe a little work on the power play, but they're pretty good. There's some good games. Toronto and the Rangers. Austin Matthews is going to be back in. He said, oh yeah, had a couple of concussion symptoms. So Austin Matthews was more open about his injury than anybody else in the Maple Leaf organization. Can we move past this? Everybody saw the hit, either watching the game live or on highlights or on Twitter or checking it out. Everybody saw what happened. Do we really need this covert operation of, oh, he's an upper body injury? And when asked specifically, did Austin Matthews go through the concussion protocol? Oh, I didn't know he had a concussion, was the response from Mike Babcock. Come on. We're not that new. We're really not that new. You can be better than that. Chicago, New Jersey could be one of the best games of the night too. Hawks have climbed back into a playoff picture. Good for them. New Jersey, Brian Boyle is a tremendous story. Absolutely fantastic. Drew Stafford looks like he's going to be a scratch tonight for the New Jersey Devils. Oh yeah, I'm still on that thing again about the injuries, which, you know what? That's a good point to lead into the Festivus airing of grievances. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, the Festivus airing of grievances. Not a lot of them, but just a couple of things I thought of over the last couple of days. Just something that, we'll put it out. If you want to weigh in, that's cool. But just a couple of things that you notice as you're watching games, listening to games, attending games, and being a fan of the NHL. You just a couple of grievances will air. In the spirit of Festivus, December the 23rd. Number 1, announcers. Stop trying to guess what the penalty call on a play is if you don't know. Just wait for the referee to announce it. We're okay with that. This making it up and guessing, it becomes exasperating and frustrating. Just if you don't know, there's a penalty on the play. We'll wait for the call. I'm good with that. I'm sure everybody else is. NHL Network, on your highlight packs, show all the goals that are scored in a game. You know what? If it's a super busy night with 10 or 12 games or 15 like there are on Saturday, drop the empty net goals. I'm okay with that. I want to see the goals. I don't want to see the same top 10 goals of the last week at almost exactly the same time. By Wednesday, we're all pretty sick of it. Another grievance. If it's a clean hit, you can't jump the guy who laid out your teammate. Suck it up. Clean hits, got to have a scrum afterwards. You know what? If it's a cheap shot or a dirty hit, that's a different story. But it's so rare that guys get hit hard and put down with a clean hit. You got to let those go. A couple other things. If you are one of the 3 stars selected in a game, you have to come out and acknowledge the crowd. Visiting players sometimes don't do that, and that bothers me. Here's what I think many will agree on. Please, No Chicago Blackhawks or Pittsburgh Penguins teams in any outdoor games until the next decade. We could all use a bit of a break. No more online polls. Is this hit suspendable, or should this have been a penalty? It's clickbait. The league looks at anything close. There's no need for you to drag this stuff up to bolster your website stats. Can we outlaw the phrase non-traditional hockey market? And here's the last one, and this leads to a bigger discussion, but the grievance is stop awarding the loser point. If you lose, you get nothing. I'll compromise and say if you are going to keep the single point if a game goes to overtime, then you have to award 3 points for a regulation victory. Okay, those are the grievances. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles to follow us. Lots to get into before this hour is done. Steve Laidlaw with a special edition of the Fantasy 5 on Saturday. George Richards will join us. We'll talk Columbus Blue Jackets. And in the next segment, Craig Button from TSN will join us. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis back after the break.
There's special savings for Hockey Unfiltered listeners with our new ticket partner, Seat Giant. And Canadian fans can also purchase in Canadian dollars. Go to SeatGiant.ca, find the tickets you're looking for. Doesn't matter if it's NHL games, concerts, or any other event. You get a special discount with the promo code TODD. That's Todd with 2 Ds. Just enter the code, get the discount, you save. That's simple. Save on your next ticket purchase with Hockey Unfiltered and Seat Giant. The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Search engine optimization is the key to success for your online business. It can be the key to success for any business. 1-844-SEO-LEAD is the number to call to get your business at the top of all searches. An official partner of Google, they have the tools necessary to make your business the one people notice first. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now you can nominate your dog or any dog you love as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day through Instagram. Every Saturday, Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis will take your nominations for the Dog of the Day. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Send us a photo with the dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate your dog. We choose a winner at the end of the show, and your dog will be recognized in the HU Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more.
Thanks for joining us on Saturday. It's Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, the Saturday edition. We are off tomorrow. We will return next weekend, 30th and 31st, with our regular Saturday and Sunday schedule. 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com, streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app, powered by Primetime Radio, live on Facebook, on Periscope, on YouTube Live. And don't forget, you can subscribe to our podcast through iTunes and iHeartRadio, and available, of course, on our website and on the Hockey Unfiltered app as well. A busy Saturday with the National Hockey League. 15 games, everybody but Calgary involved in the action. Calgary hosted the Montreal Canadiens last night. Fell. Habs got the victory. Craig Button was working the game for TSN, also TSN Director of Scouting. You can follow him on Twitter at Craig J. Button, and he joins us now. Craig, that was a pretty good game last night. Montreal clearly looked to be the quicker, more interested team in pursuing loose pucks to me and picking up the 2 points.
Todd, that's exactly how I saw it as well. I mean, and in every area of the ice, like defensively, you know, the Flames didn't have room to operate. The neutral zone, Montreal was right on top of them. And in the offensive zone, not only was Calgary not able to come out of their zone, Montreal was able to press the attack and really keep their forward momentum in the manner of playing. Like, really, really keeping the pressure on the Calgary Flames. Having done, I think, 8 games now of the Montreal Canadiens this season, and they've had their ups, they've had their downs, and a little bit of in between. But I thought last night was as complete a game as I've seen Montreal play this year in every regard. And interestingly enough, Todd, it ended up being a little bit of a closer call later in the game as Calgary scored 2 late goals, but Montreal found a way to just lock it right down and end up on the right side of it because they were clearly the better team and fully deserving of the win.
Yeah, Carey Price certainly helps in that regard, locking a game down. He was good last night. I don't know if he's going to go again today against Edmonton. I haven't seen anything yet, but from what you've seen of the Canadiens, many of us had written them off early on in the year, thinking they have no chance. The way the Atlantic Division is, Montreal being 5 points behind the Boston Bruins, even though the Bruins have a couple of games in hand, it's possible, I guess, that they can get back in and get back into the fight. I don't know that it's a wild card thing. I think it's got to be, you've got to get in by making it to 3rd place in the Atlantic Division.
Well, that's what I think, Todd, and I think that's their path. And I think when you consider that those are the teams they're going to play. They're going to play Boston, and they're going to play Ottawa, and they're going to play Florida, and they're going to play the Buffalo Sabres, and those are the teams, Detroit, that they're all lumped together in the standings, and they're teams. Maybe take Buffalo out of it; they just aren't playing very well, and you take them out of it to an extent, and you really just kind of say, okay, there's real opportunities to get points, and obviously, when you put yourself in this type of a situation, those points become even more critical to obtain. But, if you look at the projections and if we just say, 94 points is what it's going to take, or even 92 points, the math becomes, pretty simple. I mean, you're looking at 47 games left, and with 36 points already to their credit, to get to 92 points, you're looking at, 56 wins. Yeah, that's 28 wins out of your next 47 games. If it's 94 points, well, you just add a couple and add another win. So you're right, it's possible, and I totally agree that the path is through the 3rd spot in the Atlantic. But math tells you that when you fall behind like they did from their beginning of the season record, it becomes really difficult to make up ground.
And it just doesn't, even with their roster, and I know the Carey Price thing, I just don't get a lot of optimism about. It's great that the 4th line has been going and chipping in some offense, but Max Pacioretty isn't having a great year scoring goals, and some of their other players, it just doesn't seem like I have reason to be optimistic for that slim hope.
Yeah, and I'm like you, Todd. I like to use numbers, and I like to use math, and it's not whether you're a fan of the Canadiens or you're not a fan of the Canadiens. It's about, here's what the math tells you, and the math tells you that they've reached this point for a reason. Yeah, I know they have Carey Price, and I know Carey Price is a goaltender that's capable of winning you games, and the way they played against Calgary on Friday night was a good example of that. I mean, once Montreal scored that 3rd goal at the end of the 3rd period by Gallagher, in my head, I didn't say it on the air, but in my head, I just said, they're not getting 3 goals from Carey Price tonight. And I said, it's over. But, it is difficult for them to score, and they don't score easily. And you consider some of the challenges that they have when they play other good teams. And the Metropolitan has got some really good teams in that division. So, I share your sentiments. And as much as you want to believe that, on a good run they could get going and find a way in. I mean, and keep in mind, too, we talk about Montreal playing those teams in the Atlantic Division. Well, guess what? Boston's playing Ottawa, and Ottawa's playing Detroit, and Detroit's playing Florida. So they're all playing each other, and 2 points have to be awarded in all those games. So while Montreal has an opportunity, there's other teams that are going to get points. And so that's what makes it, I think, a situation that you would consider to be, not highly probable.
Craig Button is with us from the NHL on TSN, TSN's Director of Scouting. Follow him on Twitter at Craig J. Button. Not quite the same set of circumstances, but a similar situation for the Calgary Flames out west. They find themselves on the outside looking in. The Central Division is gangbusters out west as well. So Calgary might have to also climb up and take the third spot in the Pacific Division if they're going to make the postseason as well. And this has been a disappointing year for Calgary. At times they've had good moments, but you would think with their defense that they have, that they would be better defensively at times. Sam Bennett seems to be scoring some goals now, but there's been some struggles with this team all season long.
There sure has, and you know, Todd, it seems to be that they have their ups and their downs, and they can be at I don't want to say at the real extremes, but they show you a really good game against St. Louis, and then they come back with a game against Montreal. I mean, St. Louis is a good team and a real strong team, and Calgary was really full marks in that game for the 2-1 victory. But then you come back here and you watch them play against Montreal, and they weren't engaged, and they weren't initiating. The thing that concerns me about the Calgary Flames, and you know, this is my biggest, I guess, what I would look at as something they got to correct. When things don't go their way, when the game isn't set in a manner that they're comfortable playing, I don't see a team that's able to get the game into their terms. I don't see a team that's able, and it's not like they get overwhelmed. It's not like Montreal just beats them. It's a beatdown. But they can't just turn the game. They don't seem to be able to say, okay, this is what we got to do to turn this game, and this is how we're going to try to do it with more of an attack, and the defensemen being quicker and their forwards being quicker, and that's a concern for me, because that speaks to how do you deal with resistance. And as we get deeper into the season, teams dig in deeper, dig in harder, and it becomes more difficult to find your way into a game and find your way to dictate a game. And right now, when they do, it's good. But when it doesn't go their way, boy. And I know Todd, Glenn Gulson mentioned it, that, you know, earlier on when they lost the game against Edmonton at home, that it's like they dipped their toe in, and, you know, he feels that they freeze. I don't know if it's so much that they freeze or they just can't find a way to initiate their game. And that's something they're going to have to find some solutions to, because, you know, they come out of the Christmas break playing San Jose. They lost the game against San Jose late in a game where, you know, even a point would have helped them. Now that's 2 points that San Jose gets, Calgary gets none. So the post-Christmas break starts with a real significant game for the Calgary Flames against a team like a team such as the San Jose Sharks, who really do dig in defensively and are one of the top defensive teams in the National Hockey League this year.
And not to mention, some of their competition is going to be coming from behind them as well, because Anaheim is just a point behind them, and they're getting healthier and they're going to get stronger, you would expect. And Edmonton seems to have figured themselves out over the last week or two.
Yeah, they have. And you know, you think about all the points that everybody got last year against the Colorado Avalanche. Colorado's a good team. Colorado is playing well, and Colorado can beat you. And, you know, Arizona has had their struggles, and we know that they're a team that seems to play well at times but finds ways to lose at the end of it. But it seems to me that Arizona is not an easy out, whereas last year Colorado was. And when you watch the games and you see Edmonton, you know, Talbot's found his form back. I love the fact that Todd McClellan has just said, my center ice is David, Nugent Hopkins, and Draisaitl. They're going to support the wingers. If I need to load up like he did against St. Louis late in the game, he's got the option. But he's got a centerman loading it up down the middle. Sekera's back. Larson's healthy. So I think this team is going to push and make it a lot more difficult for teams ahead of them. And, you know, Edmonton wants to get into the hunt here. Anaheim, I mean, they're getting their players healthy, and that's a scary proposition in the West, because a healthy Anaheim team, to me, is one of the very good teams in the Western Conference.
I want to ask you too, Craig, about Calgary, because I know it's you're so familiar with that home area of yours. But there was a lot of talk and excitement about the New York Islanders getting a new building, or the deal to get a new building has been awarded to the Islanders group, and in a few years they should have a new place out in Long Island. It sort of brought us back to the attention of Calgary and the Flames and the Saddle Dome and what's going to happen with that situation. Calgary broke off negotiations a few months ago. There was the whole fight through the media with the mayor. The mayor was reelected. So this is the city government they're going to have to deal with. Does someone have to take a step forward, whether it's the Flames or whether it's the mayor and city government, to say, let's have a discussion about ideas and opportunities? Or is this just we're just going to kind of hold up in our camps and wait until the last minute and hope that something gets done? I think a better deal happens if one of the two parties is conciliatory.
Well, and depending on who you talk to, right, both parties feel that they've been conciliatory. So, yeah. I mean, here's what I think, Todd, and we've all seen a lot of different arena scenarios play out in different markets over time. So I think that, you have smart people, you have people that realize that the Calgary Flames are an important part of the city of Calgary. I think that everybody recognizes that a new arena would be in the best interest of everybody here, the Flames, the city, and all the citizens. But what you have to work through is the idea of how it's going to be financed. I mean, interestingly enough, John Ledecky, which wasn't mentioned at all by anybody in Calgary, was that the owners of the New York Islanders said the arena was going to be privately financed fully. And, I think that, that option remains to the Flames, but they see what's happened up in Edmonton. They see what's happened in other places. And, the president, Ken King, he'd even mentioned, based on what other cities have received, we feel that what we put forward was a fair offer. And I'm not disputing that. I think in their minds they feel it was fair. But to the city and to Mayor Nenshi, they didn't feel that was equitable based on current conditions. So I'm a big believer that you got smart people involved, you got reasonable people involved, and at the end of the day, there will be a new arena in Calgary. Now, is this chapter 4 of the arena saga? Is this chapter 7 or is this chapter 2? I believe that I know how the book and the story ends, but I think there's a number of chapters in between that might have some twists and turns. And I think what happened at the beginning of training camp when the Flames announced that they were breaking off discussions with the city is just another chapter and another twist in that whole long saga. And ultimately, there will be a new arena in Calgary.
Okay, we'll just have to ride the waves, I guess, until then. Craig Button from TSN, the NHL and TSN Director Scouting, at Craig J. Button to follow him on Twitter. Happy holidays, Craig. Good to talk to you as always, and I hope we do it again soon.
Oh, we'll do it again soon, and happy holidays to you as well.
Appreciate it. Craig Button from the NHL on TSN. That's the thing I'd like to get away from, is all the drama, everybody just trying to entrench themselves in their position and throw bombs and rocks at the other, saying, oh, we offered this, but they didn't like it. And you know what? You just got to, at some point, sit down and negotiate at the table. And the sooner we get to that, the sooner Calgary gets a new building. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, Todd at hockeyunfiltered.com is the email. Lots to get to before the top of the hour. Steve Laidlaw with us for a special Saturday edition of the Fantasy 5. And in the next segment, George Richards from the Columbus Dispatch with the latest on the Blue Jackets. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. Back with more after the break.
So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Nova Product Design is designed for manufacturing. Nova Product Design can get the job done with mechanical and industrial design. Nova Product Design is also fully functional for laser cutting, water jet cutting, plating, coatings, and more. Nova Product Design, innovative design and the latest technologies. Nova Product Design can design, build, and test any required types of prototypes and beta units. Visit novaproductdesign.com. We're looking for your Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day nominations every Saturday. Now you can send them through Instagram. Use the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, send us a photo of your dog on Twitter or Instagram to nominate them as the HU Dog of the Day. Include your name, the dog's name, and any other cool details you want. We choose a winner and add them to the Dog of the Day gallery on our website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Hashtag HU Dog of the Day.
Welcome back. It's Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, the Saturday edition on hockeyunfiltered.com and streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app powered by Primetime Radio, at Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Before the top of the hour, Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, with this week's Fantasy 5. And also lots to get into with the 15 games on a super busy Saturday, including the Philadelphia Flyers and Columbus Blue Jackets. Columbus is kind of playing the teams of Pennsylvania. They had the Penguins on Thursday. They got Philly tonight, and then they've got Pittsburgh right after the break again. George Richards covers the Jackets for the Columbus Dispatch. Follow him on Twitter, at George Richards. George, I thought Columbus played a good game. It was a really good game with the Pittsburgh Penguins the other night. They come out on the short end of the shootout, but a chance to take advantage of a Philadelphia team that played last night and get a victory on home ice in this one.
Yeah, and Philadelphia's a team that doesn't play very well. By the way, hello, Todd. How are you?
Hello, George.
Philadelphia team that doesn't really play very well here in Columbus. The Blue Jackets haven't lost on home ice to the Flyers since 2005. So I guess if, you're Philadelphia, you're figuring you're due. But, yeah, I mean, this was a Jackets team coming off that 7-2 loss the other night. This was a team that needed to feel a little bit better about itself. They got 3 out of 4 points on back-to-back games. So, they wanted to finish, go into the Christmas break feeling a little bit better about things. And they've got a chance to, if they can get 2 points tonight, that's 5 out of 6. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, that's certainly a good way to, and that's as much as anything why you need this victory for Columbus and for any of the other teams as well. It's you'd like to get a win. You can go away, you can celebrate a little time with your family because there's no practice, no nothing, and you can feel good about enjoying a couple of days of the holidays. Otherwise, it's going to sit and stew with you for a couple of days. So I'm sure that John Tortorella will be emphasizing that to his team as well.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think that he's like, guys, you're going to go home. You're going to be with your family. You're going to do what you do. You're going to open up some gifts. Let's go out with a win. And I think, this team, they've rallied around. They played a very good game coming off the embarrassing loss to Boston on Wednesday night. And they played a good game against Pittsburgh, a game that could have gone either way. They lose in the shootout. Okay. Again, a game that could have gone either way. So, I think they bounced back pretty well.
I like the games with the Pittsburgh Penguins as well. And there's another one coming up after the holidays. This, because of geographic location, because of the playoff series, this has turned into one of the really good rivalries right now in the National Hockey League. Now, I know you're kind of new to Columbus still, but what have you seen in the early stages of this rivalry between these two teams?
Well, again, I mean, you look at Columbus and Pittsburgh very close geographically, like you said, but for so many years, Columbus was in the Western Conference, and now that they're in the East, they can have a rivalry with Pittsburgh, and like you said, they've met in the playoffs. That's huge. Being able to meet in the playoffs and have that animosity with so much at stake. Pittsburgh last year in the first round beat the Blue Jackets in 5. That's something that the Blue Jackets have had to sit with all off season. I think the Blue Jackets would have liked a crack at the Penguins much sooner than December. The other night was the first time they played since the postseason. So, I think if you looked at how physical that game was, The rivalry is true. I mean, they're going at it. It's Ohio versus Pittsburgh. It's Browns, Steelers, Bengals, Steelers. Combined into one. Then Columbus is right in the middle of Cleveland and Cincinnati. So those people in Pittsburgh don't like the Ohio folks, and I think it's vice versa.
Our friend George Richards is with us, covers the Blue Jackets for the Columbus Dispatch. At George Richards to follow him on Twitter. It's Columbus and Philadelphia on Saturday night, just before the holiday break in the U.S. Now, one of the keys to beating the Philadelphia Flyers or any team in the NHL is a solid penalty kill. The Jackets have been pretty good on the penalty kill as far as specialty teams. They've also scored a couple of power play goals in their last few games, something they've struggled to do. Are they seeing some light at the end of the tunnel in terms of the power play?
Boy, they really hope so. The power play's been ranked dead last in the NHL for about the past month to 6 weeks, but it's starting to warm up. Seth Jones. The other night they were down 7-1 in Boston, and Seth Jones scores on the 5th power play chance for Columbus to make it 7-2 with like 13 seconds left, a meaningless goal, if you will. But that kept them from going 0-5 on the power play on the night and made it, a 7-2 game. But they've scored a power play goal in each of the past 3 games and 4 of the past 5. So, they hope that the power play is starting to come around. Their penalty kill has been terrific all year. It was ranked, 2nd, 3rd, 4th in the NHL. It's given up a couple goals lately. I think they've fallen off a little bit there, but that's just, the nature of the business. Boston scored twice. That really messes up your statistics when you go, when you give up two power play goals in a game. So I think that, the penalty kill has been great all season. And I think you look at the power play, you look at the penalty kill, I think it mirrors the Columbus Blue Jackets because they are a very solid defensive team. They've got terrific goaltending, both by Bob and by Korpisalo. Both terrific goalies, terrific defensively. So the penalty kill has been terrific all year because they're a terrific defensive team. They're a team that struggles to score offensively, not just on the power play, but 5-on-5 as well.
I'm glad you mentioned Seth Jones and how he's looked. I thought he played well in the game against Pittsburgh a couple nights ago too. But we hear so much talk about Zach Werenski, but with Zach's injury, maybe we're going to get a little bit more Seth Jones talk because you almost forget about how good a defenseman he is and how big an important part of the Columbus Blue Jackets lineup he is because there's so much Zach Werenski talk, and understandably so last year.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think people just take Seth Jones for granted. Really, I mean, you don't talk about him because he does it every single night. He's very consistent. He's consistently good. I mean, he is a terrific defensive hockey player who also can score some goals. So I think, Seth Jones is a great combination of a smart hockey who, he's got the skills. I mean, he was, going into that draft, there was talk he was going to be the top overall draft pick. He falls, Florida didn't take him. Tampa didn't take him. He ends up in Nashville. I think he's one of those guys. He's got the skill. He's got the want. He wants to be the best player, one of the best defensive players in the league. He's been well coached throughout his career, and he's just a great player. And I think people here, maybe not in Columbus, but around the country, just don't notice him because he's just so consistently good.
The other player I want to ask you about with injury is Callahan and how much the Columbus, or excuse me, Brandon Dubinsky is his being out of the lineup is a big hole for the Blue Jackets to fill.
Absolutely, and I think you look at the way that the Blue Jackets have filled Dubinsky's role on the ice. I think they've been able to fill. He was leading the team in face-offs. Okay, they've been able to to replace that. He hasn't been scoring all that much. Okay, they might be able to find a replacement for that. But with the intangibles that Dubinsky brings to this team is something that they really miss. And I think that Torch was talking about it the other night, just about what a pain in the butt the guy is. But he loves him. He loves him for it. He's got that sandpaper, that grit that coaches always talk about. Dubinsky, as Torch said, may be the heart and soul of this team, and Torch and he have a long history going back to their days with the New York Rangers. So, Torch would know. I mean, it sounds like sometimes Dubinsky exasperates Tortorella but he loves him for it. He thinks that the Columbus Blue Jackets are a better team when Dubinsky's playing. But listen, this is a guy who had wrist surgery in the off season. I think we all know, people around hockey, wrist surgeries take an extremely long time to get back from that in hockey. And I think Dubinsky's slow start, I think he won't say it. And I'm no doctor, but I don't know if those, if that's not a coincidence that he had wrist surgery and he's off to a slow start. So maybe some time off. He got a bone in his face broken with a punch. Maybe a couple of weeks off will do him some good.
Yeah, it could well be. Hey, one more quick one, if I can ask you. It's speaking of players that have the tools but just haven't quite been able to put it together. The comment you made about earlier. Sonny Milano, you see him. He had that great start early on, but he's been shuttled back and forth a little bit between Columbus and Cleveland. It's just, I keep waiting for him to bust out, and I think he is one day. I can't wait for it to happen.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Sonny's got the skill. And I think that, he got off to such a great start. 4 goals in the first 3 games for Columbus. He's only got 1 since. And he's back in Cleveland now. They just sent him back yesterday after playing 3 games up here and getting limited minutes. He played less than 5 minutes in Pittsburgh the other night. So I think that should have told us a little bit about what Torch thought of his game that night. But I like Sonny. I think Torch loves Sonny. I think Torch sees something in him and wants him to grow as a player. And maybe this right now, the shuffling back and forth will help Sonny grow as a player and help this team down the road. I mean, it's only December. I think Sonny is going to be back with this team, and we're going to see him in March and April. And I think that they're going to be counting on him to make some sort of impact when it counts.
Good stuff from George Richards of the Columbus Dispatch, at George Richards, to follow him on Twitter. Pleasure as always, sir. Have a great holiday season, and we'll do this again soon. Thank you.
All right, Todd. Thanks, bud. We'll see you.
Cheers, George Richards for the Columbus Dispatch. Good game tonight on the schedule between the Philadelphia Flyers and the Columbus Blue Jackets. We'll squeeze in another break and then the Fantasy 5 with Stephen Laidlaw coming up. Yes, it's early, but we're not here tomorrow, so we got to get you the Fantasy 5 help for you and your fantasy hockey pool with a wonky schedule with a few days off. At Hockey Unfiltered, at Todd Lewis Sports, the Twitter and Instagram handles. Fantasy 5 coming up right after the break.
Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Get your business started getting more leads. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. The number to call if you want more online leads for your business is 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization can be the difference between success and failure. It's no coincidence which businesses are listed first in Google searches. Call 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday. Cutting-edge design for manufacturing. Nova Product Design. Industrial design. Mechanical engineering and design. Nova Product Design provides experienced design for parts and assemblies, manufacturing, assembly, and serviceability. From plastic parts to sheet metal forming, mold and tool design, injection molding, and more. Nova Product Design. Visit novaproductdesign.com to learn more. So you had to get groceries, take your daughter to dance class, and a pipe burst in the kitchen. You missed Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis. No problem. All of our shows are available as a podcast right after the show airs, so you can listen when life gets in the way of hearing us live. Subscribe through iTunes and get alerts as soon as the podcast is available, or go to our website, hockeyunfiltered.com, and listen. Plus, check out the other cool stuff, the Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis podcast. Subscribe now through iTunes.
What a busy couple of hours it's been. 2 hours is absolutely flying by. Don't forget, we're away tomorrow, shutting down a little break with the National Hockey League. We'll be back next week, next Saturday and Sunday at a regular time, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific at hockeyunfiltered.com and streaming live on the Hockey Unfiltered app powered by Primetime Radio. But just because we're not going to be here tomorrow, we cannot leave you out in the cold. So Stephen Laidlaw, the managing editor of DobberHockey.com, is with us for this week's Fantasy 5. We'll squeeze it in. At Steve Laidlaw is how you follow him on Twitter. And he joins us now. Steve, how do you approach this kind of week with 3 days off? Is it all about trying to find matchups and how many teams will squeeze in some extra games after the break is over?
To be honest, a short week like this, you're almost just throwing crap at the wall. So try to have the best talent you can have. Just in terms of thinking long term, I mean, we're headed into a few week stretch here with bye weeks coming up in a few weeks, where right. I mean, rosters are going to be all over the place. And, it's going to be mayhem over the next month, I would say, just in terms of your matchups. So play it as best you can. Anyone who's kind of, on the fringe of your roster, you certainly, if they're not playing a lot of games for you in a week, get rid of them just like you would in any other week. But just be prepared over the next month that you're going to be doing a lot of triage on your roster as you try to do your best with all the shortened schedules.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. Let's get to this week's Fantasy 5 then. And name number one, he had a big night for the Sharks a couple of days ago. Kevin Labanc is named number one on the Fantasy 5.
Yeah, it's always risky, hyping up a name after they've had their big night. I mean, most folks would have seen that, gone out and scooped them up off the waiver wire, and you're not going to get those points into your lineup. But certainly the situation he's in is a very good one. They've started to get the second line rolling a little bit, and their power play has been scorching hot. Over the last 7 games, they've scored a goal in every single game on the power play, and they're 12 for 32, clicking on over a third of their power play. So really good situation. And with Logan Couture out, he's up on that top power play unit, so he's in a good spot to bank some points.
Oh, very good. Yes. And the second name is also a member of the San Jose Sharks. If you're looking for a little goaltending help, Aaron Dell of the Sharks.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, Martin Jones is still entrenched as their starter, but he's allowed 4 goals or more in his last 6 games. So the door's starting to swing open a little bit for Dell, who has been fantastic as a backup over the last 2 seasons. I mean, we're talking like a .930 save percentage over 30 plus starts over the last 2 seasons. He's been really good. He's won 5 games in a row. And obviously, the coach is going to look to the guy who's winning games for them and not allowing 4+ goals in every single game. So it's starting to swing towards Dell a little bit. I think that, Jones has done enough in his time in San Jose that he's going to keep earning opportunities. And he's about a league average goalie. So he's going to be good enough to turn things around. But if Dell continues to be amazing, then, he could start stealing starts. So if you're a Martin Jones owner, maybe you start looking at grabbing Dell to be your third goalie, just, as a safety net, because you could be losing half the starts you expected to be getting from Jones.
That's just what I did 2 days ago. Name number 3 on the Fantasy 5 from Stephen Laidlaw is Kyle Palmieri of the New Jersey Devils, back from injury and worth a look.
Yeah, I mean, injuries are always the story with Palmieri. He's rarely put together an 80-game season, but when he is healthy, he's the type of guy who scores at a 30-goal, 60-point type pace. He can shoot the crap out of the puck. And he's given you exposure to Taylor Hall, who's having a fantastic season, both at even strength on the top line as well as on the top power play unit. So, he's been dumped in a lot of leagues because he was hurt and maybe not quite good enough to use up your one IR spot. Well, he's healthy again, so get him back in your lineup.
Stephen Laidlaw is the managing editor of DobberHockey.com. At Steve Laidlaw is how you follow him on Twitter. He's with us a day early for this week's Fantasy 5. No show tomorrow. But name number 4 from Steve, an interesting one, defenseman Jeff Petrie of the Montreal Canadiens. Oh, yes, of course. The Shea Weber injury. Jeff Petrie is going to get more opportunity.
Absolutely. Every time Shea Weber goes down, Petrie steps up, starts skating 25 plus minutes a night. So he's gonna pile up shot totals, give you exposure to the top power play unit. He might chip in a few points here and there. I think in 4 or 5 games that Shea Weber's been hurt, he's got 4 points. Most of those, stuck in like 1 or 2 games. So it's very hit or miss, but that's kind of the nature of the defense position anyhow. But certainly, if you need someone to fill in while Weber's out, he's the direct replacement.
And the final member of the Fantasy 5 for this week, another defenseman, this one, Mark Giordano of the Calgary Flames.
Yeah, I mean, he's near universal ownership. People have grown accustomed to Giordano being a very consistent fantasy defenseman for them. But certainly it's been a struggle to start this season, but he's got 6 points in his last 10 games. And they've shuffled their power play units around a little bit. So now they've got Giordano up on the top unit, skating with Johnny Gaudreau and the big guns on that unit, replacing TJ Brody. So he's in a really good spot to turn his season around. So, I mean, you're not going to be able to scoop him up off the waiver wire, but certainly someone to consider trading for the second half. I think, he should be good for 40 points this season. And, given how he's not on pace for that right now, I think that would mean a nice second half that if you bought low on him now, he would pay dividends in the long run.
Always the best fantasy info from Stephen Laidlaw, managing editor of DobberHockey.com. At Steve Laidlaw to follow him on Twitter. Steve, as we have done over the last couple of weeks in the vein of Seinfeld, thanks for this great info and have a happy Festivus.
Absolutely. I hope everyone has some Festivus miracles.
Yes, exactly. Thanks, Steve. We'll do it again next week. The Fantasy 5 from Stephen Laidlaw, a regular fixture on Sunday, doing it a day early because there is no show tomorrow. We're shut down for a little Christmas break like the National Hockey League will be after the games on Saturday. Here are the names quickly once again. Kevin Labanc of the San Jose Sharks and goaltender Erlendsson of the San Jose Sharks. Kyle Palmieri of the Devils, Jeff Petrie of the Montreal Canadiens, and Mark Giordano of the Calgary Flames. Those are the Fantasy 5. If you missed any of those names, we'll tweet them out. We'll put them up on our website, up on our Facebook page as well, so you can check them out and maybe get a little help. As I mentioned, I already scooped up Erlendsson for some spot starts here and there, and I grabbed Kevin Labanc too, since he happened to be available in my Fantasy Hockey League. And, can always use a little help here and there. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis, Saturday edition. We always do the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. Your tweets, your Instagram posts, your emails with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. Nominees have come in, and this week's winner is Willie. There's a good boy. Yes. The comment that pretty much seals it. Willie's not just my best friend, he's my PTSD service dog. I'm a USMC vet, 1983 winner, not Willie's a winner. That's submitted from @hockey_pro_guru. The photo up on our website. We'll tweet out and post on our Instagram account as well. A busy Saturday to wrap up the National Hockey League with 15 games before the Christmas break, including afternoon action. Detroit, Boston, Winnipeg, and the Islanders. Great. I'm headed up to see the Tampa Bay Lightning take on the Minnesota Wild a little bit later on. There's good late games as well. Austin Matthews is coming back as the Leafs take on the New York Rangers. A lot of good stuff as we get set for the holidays. Christmas, whatever you want to call it. I like Festivus myself because I'll be celebrating with family in the days ahead. Our thanks to Stephen Laidlaw, to George Richards, to Craig Button from TSN, to Erik Erlendsson, and to Mike Heika, all for joining us on the program today. Good info, some great games on the schedule, and whatever you have planned over the next few days, have a safe, happy, and wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas. Happy Festivus. Thank you from our Hockey Unfiltered family. Enjoy it with your family and friends. We look forward to being back next Saturday and Sunday, 11 Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Have a great week and holiday.
The best way to get set for the busy Saturday night of hockey is with Hockey Primetime. Beginning at 5 p.m. Eastern, host Connor McKenna whips you around the league for the latest stories and info leading up to the early game starts. Plus, he'll give his own spin on the biggest stories in the National Hockey League. Hockey Primetime with Connor McKenna. Sometimes serious, sometimes a little goofy, but always interesting. Listen live at hockeyprimetime.com, 5 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. Creativity and innovation are the hallmarks of Nova Product Design. Whether it's mechanical or industrial, cutting-edge technology and a commitment to excellence make Nova Product Design the company to choose. Prototypes and beta units are a Nova Product Design specialty. Striving for revolutionary new ideas and methods keep Nova Product Design at the forefront of innovation. Visit novaproductdesign.com and learn more. Hockey Unfiltered with Todd Lewis sends you to the biggest events at the best prices. This year, we've partnered with Seat Giant to give you special deals on tickets to NHL games, concerts, or other events. Simply go to SeatGiant.com, find the tickets you want. When you check out, use the promo code TODD for a special discount. That's promo code TODD for a special discount. Start saving with SeatGiant.com on your next purchase. Being on the World Wide Web is great. Being found is the tricky part. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Search engine optimization is the only way your business can get a leg up on the competition. 1-844-SEO-LEAD. For the necessary tools to make your business stand out in a crowded marketplace, 1-844-SEO-LEAD. Now it's even easier to nominate your dog as the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day. We do it every Saturday. Send us a photo on Twitter or now on Instagram with the hashtag HU Dog of the Day. We choose a winner every Saturday. That's simple. Now on Instagram or Twitter, send us the photo using the hashtag HU Dog of the Day, and your dog could be the one added to our gallery on the website and Facebook page. It's the Hockey Unfiltered Dog of the Day every Saturday.